Hey kiddos, it's Mr. Hutch here. Just explaining our mini putt details, some do-it-yourself version. So let's specifically talk about some of the detailed builds that you may want to do. Remember, you don't actually have to do it, but you can. And so I just wanted to give you a more detailed overview of how to build or design those certain things. So we'll look at my personal build that I did in speed mode just now, and also a student from last year. So anyway, let's just start off with some of the basics. So the most basic is bushes and shrubs. So you can take any green paper. I have tissue paper here and I just crumpled it up. You take yourself some glue and glue around your spot there and stick it on, and you have a bush that is an obstacle. Your next is sand. Same thing, you have your sand area, you just put some glue down and you can literally take sand and just sprinkle it on. You can see this one right here. This person did just that, sprinkled some glue right there, sprinkled sand down, just pushed it on and let it dry. While we're on it, let's go ahead and talk about rocks. We're actually coloring underneath of all these first, but so you wouldn't see the white under yours. But same thing, this person used hot glue. You could probably use white glue also, and just put some glue down and stuck the rocks on and let them dry. So those were this person's obstacles for this course. We can move on now to walls. This person, because he has a ramp, has it going over here. If you have a ramp, you have to have at least a 3 layer wall. So they just used hot glue and stacked sticks on top. You could, if you have walls in the middle, let's say I had a wall in the middle of here, you could use some Legos. You could use sticks in the middle of your course to build more walls and things like that if you want. So really your options are open to how you want to build walls. Let's now look at water. So there's 2 options for water. So option 1 is, what you do anyway is you cut it out completely. So you can either take scissors carefully and jam it through and then try to cut it out. What's easiest is at school, ask for my help, and I can cut it out for you. Or at home, if your family at home has a cutter, please, it's not something you go and grab and just do. It's something that you're at home and you ask and say, hey, can you help me do this, please? But you literally cut out the water. So wherever you've designated as water, you get it cut out completely. And then I'm going to move this stuff off. And then underneath, you just take some construction paper or tissue paper, and it's not going to be the exact space. You make it bigger, and you put it down, and you just tape all the way around it. And then that way, so this is hollow right here, so you have to be careful. So then you have this lower level of water that if they hit the ball, it falls down in and won't just go through. So option 2 is the same thing, but they did construction paper. And then this student from last year, after it was lower, then took different colored crumpled tissue paper and glued it in there. So it made it sort of like this rough water versus mine is just this smooth lower layer. So either way is fine. You can see there's different areas where they just have different holes to fall into, but this person made a raised area. All holes have to go into a cup of some sort so that you can retrieve it. Otherwise, they just fall on the table and bounce around and fall, and then they lose the ball. So let's talk about ramps and things like that. If you do a ramp, this is sort of the template that you would want to use. So you can see. So you have the actual rectangle ramp shape, and then you have these notches. This notch goes down into the cardboard, and then these are your angles that when they fold down, they actually make the angle of the ramp for it to sit on. Okay, so that's what these angles are. So the smaller angle you have, okay, the less the ramp launches. The higher this triangle, okay, or the higher this height of this triangle, the larger your angle is for your ramp. So as you increase this, it raises your ramp. As you lower that, it lowers your ramp. So you need to play around to get the right size if you are doing a ramp. You can use, I used cardstock, like real thick paper. I have that at school if you ask for it. Or you can even use really thin cardboard, probably like a gift box for clothing, something like that. So anyway, so you can see it again. This is the overall sort of pattern that I used. Then what you do is you, again, ask your parents for help or grandparents and cut a slit right here all the way through on the end of the ramp. And then what you'll do is get everything folded over, and this tab can slip right down into that hole like this, and it goes right down there, and now you have this really smooth transition, so the ball goes right up there, and you can even push it down really well. Okay, so the reason I put an angled tab like this, so it goes in, is so that it slips into that hole nicely and doesn't catch on anything. So that pushes right down in there. You can glue your tabs, your angles here. You can put some glue down and it'll hold it there. And then you have your ramp. You can see this student then put some of this pipe cleaner on the sides. You could even do it on both sides so that, you know, you don't want to be annoying where it falls off. So I would do the same, because this is a little bit hard to get it up and stay on it. So I might put pipe cleaner here so that once they hit it, it stays on the ramp and launches over. And same thing, I'll have to build up a triple wall here. Anytime you have a ramp, you need a triple wall as a stopper. Okay, one of these little twigs won't be enough to stop that. All right, so those are some of the basics, and then you can be creative with whatever other options you try. Don't get so creative that you don't have time to finish, though. You know, be creative within the restraints of your time. Pay attention to your due date on this. All right, and then you just take twigs. I have a lot here. You can hunt them down at home, and we're gonna go ahead and you just put hot glue on the twig and then glue it down. What you'll do is you'll take a large size, put it down, put a little marker right here, and then you can cut it with scissors or break it. And then you'll just glue each side on, and then you have your perimeter. So that's pretty much the basics of that. Remember, you can be working on this at home or at school. You just have to ask to use free time. I'll do lunches with you and things like that if you want to use my hot glue guns. I have tissue paper for you to use, things like that. Okay, that's the basics of the do-it-yourself